Eden Koz here with Just Be, and we are about to take a spiritual boom. We are at an unprecedented time in human history where we are transitioning from 3D to 5D within the great spiritual awakening. This video and audio podcast is the place for you to find your truth beyond politics, your sovereignty, your voice. Let's kick up your vibration now. By the way, each episode ends with the Just Be practice to do just that. And as we begin the show, just to know a little bit more about me, I'm a soul realignment specialist, meditation master, and dimensional healer. Learn more, and there's merch also at edenjustbe.com. Let's get this party started. Welcome. I like that. Okay. I do some corny ones. Okay. And I have to shake very much this morning. Okay. Eden, Just Be, Spiritual Boom, in association with the Grassroots Warrior Network. I've got my papers right here. As always, welcome, Dr. Onisor in India today. How you doing?
I'm happy to be with you. Good morning.
Thank you so much. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the quantum, and I'm going to simplify it a little bit because to me it means oneness, the collective consciousness, dimensionality. Can't even say that this morning. And I want to get personal with you today and talk about your own alternative experiences, which to me, all of this and everything that I do has been about experience versus the logical, and you bring both, which is really cool. All right, so she knows I'm going to talk a little bit and then read her bio, and then we're going to begin. All right, so this will air December 18th. Just so y'all know, I'm offering 15% off all of my merchandise through December 31st. And I have my sweatshirt on today. We are all in this shift together. So the code is BE Holiday 15 at edenjustbe.com, as well as offering $10 off my private sessions through December if you just mention the podcast. And on my homepage, and I'll stop this in just a second, I offer 12% off Huga, which is red light therapies, EMF products, as well as sound feelings, some discounts from Howard Richman, who is kick butt, as well as my link to Twisted Sage, which are other things to transmute EMF. Just wonderful, wonderful products. And I don't recommend anything that I don't have for myself. Also, to give a nod, P and Cullen will probably be on my show next week. So we're going to talk about a lot of discernment, and then followed by the Grassroots Warrior Women. Okay. Shall I read your bio now?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Let's do it. Valentina Onisor, MD, PhD. She is a practicing physician, a pioneer of quantum integrative medicine specializing in family care. She integrates allopathic and diagnosis with various systems of complementary medicine like acupuncture, Ayurveda, naturopathy, homeopathy, and aromatherapy into her practice. I've done all of those except Ayurveda. I haven't really done a lot in that. So we'll potentially talk about all of this today. Committed to conscious awakening related sciences for over 3 decades. She is also a yoga and meditation teacher. She has developed together with Amit Goswami, PhD, who is on episode 143, which is how we met, the transformative practice, and potentially we'll discuss this today too, of quantum yoga, which integrates quantum science with traditional spiritual practices like Qigong, yoga, meditation, esoteric Christianity, Tibetan tradition. As a leader in transformational education, Valentina serves as Director of Educational Programs at the Center for Quantum Activism, as well as on the faculty. She is co-founder of Quantum Activism in India. She is also a lecturer, and she is currently offering courses and workshops oriented towards healing and spiritual transformation, yummy, all over the world. Her work has been featured in various interviews and radio shows. She is co-author along with Amit, and these are just a couple: Quantum Integrative Medicine, Quantum Spirituality, The Quantum Brain, as well as upcoming books, The Awakening of Intelligence and the Quantum, I have to read it like this, The Quantum Science of Love and Relationships. Come on, what do you think about that? That is wonderful. Okay, let's get personal first. Tell me, how you got into this. Knowing, I watched one podcast that you were on that you, as a child, were always hungry for knowledge, and part of it was, I think you said your grandmother had a Bible. Yeah, tell how this is for you now, how you started with this.
All right. So Eden, I have to thank you for asking me these questions, like on in all these years when I have become a little bit popular, kind of a little bit initially against my will, even, nobody asked me this personal question. So I'm very happy you're asking
Oh,
me.
good. Yeah, I've got a lot of them. All right. Yeah, please tell us.
Let's see. So I was born in a family of doctors and priests, yeah. But in the same time, kind of, I didn't feel so much connected to the family. Only very later in life, yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like an alien, in that family. But because they were mostly oriented towards the material aspects of life, even if they were very intelligent and so on. But I had, since early age, I came with the sensitivity, especially towards healing, actually. So I had my first experiences of feeling the healing capacity in my hands at very, very early age. And my father, who was specialized in so many areas of medicine, he was so amazed that I was just putting the hand, and immediately he was looking at me, oh my God, what are you doing? Are you a witch? When I was very, very early, And also like
So
initially,
were you, like, how old do you think you were? Like 5 or 6 or 10?
yeah, before 5 for sure, it
Oh
started.
my gosh. So you were doing that and your dad was like, "What are you doing?" Okay, that's amazing. All right, proceed, please.
It's like, what's happening? Oh my God, this is so almost with the hair up. But in the same time, so since I felt a little bit, that I didn't find my place kind of in the
Yeah.
world, very late, but in the same time, I didn't really speak until after 2 years old, but then immediately as I started to speak and read very early age, again, like around 4 years of age, I was in my grandmother's house, and she had Bible and newspapers. So these were my first things, Bible and newspapers, And then I started to read. I was really like until I got into medicine, I was uh, like obsessed with reading. Whatever was coming in my hand, I was reading day and night, under the blanket, in the bathroom, walking on the streets. So I was just reading everything I was getting in my hand. And in the same time, I had so besides this healing energies which were awakened already, there were also a spiritual call, So I had a little bit of memories, probably not probably, from past lives related to more like an ascetic life. So I had this call towards going to monastery, until late in life. Even after I started the study of medicine, I felt it so intensely, this call to just go in a monastery, that I even stopped a little bit. For 6 months. I stopped the study of medicine just to see how I feel if I really go and be in a monastery for 6 months. And then I just realized I had all kind of synchronicities which showed me that no, this life I have to practice the spirituality, but at the same time be in the world. So I had this very clear.
So let me ask you, how did you, having these callings, how did you deal with them? Or like, okay, there's this calling, I'm just going to do it, but I don't really understand it. Did you have anyone to help you at that point, or it wasn't until later that you finally like understood all of these?
I mean, I was already like since very early stage. I was again, in this life, I grew up in the Christian tradition, yeah,
Okay.
Orthodox tradition in Romania, which was initially it was a communist country, and so many things were forbidden. Like for example, yoga was forbidden. And when I was 16 and in the school, so in the school it was I had developed these mental capacities very fast, and I didn't even have to stay so much to do my homeworks. I was in the Olympics, so I was just very,
Wait a minute. You were
immediately.
in the Olympics?
Yes, 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 yes. But
Okay.
I mean, these things were very easy for me, the study at school, Uh, but in the same time, I had in the class, there were some people who were practicing yoga. and meditation, and they were doing fastings a lot of days. And then I started to do this with them, and it was so easy for me. And I just felt so connected with myself, like doing easily 7 days in a row, just water fasting. I was just doing it almost all the time
Wait,
because it
okay,
felt that I
easy.
was feeding myself with life. I
Okay,
mean,
let's stop with that for a minute. So I did 7 days. It was not all that easy. So this just all and
at that age was easy for me. That's what I'm saying. Now it's not
whoa.
so easy.
Oh,
But at
okay.
that age, it was extremely easy. It was so natural. I was not losing weight at all, but I was feeling perfectly. So I was perfectly fitted with everything. And on the contrary, so I could do so many, everything, like physical exercises, much more easy. Everything was done so much more easy. And I felt so connected with myself. And the moment I started to eat, it just felt again a kind of heaviness state. So, but when I was fasting, I was getting like accelerated state of feeding with inspiration and feeling so expanded all the time with wonderful dreams when I was so connected to myself. And also in the daytime, so I was again, like the study, everything that I was doing felt so much easier when I was fasting. And this was when I was 16 already.
Oh my gosh.
I started. But in the same time, again, the call towards very high aspects of spirituality was already there. And I was going to monasteries, even with my mother, sometimes in my holidays, I was just taking her. I said, okay, let's stay here. So I was staying all the 3 months, or whatever was the holiday time in a monastery. And again, it just felt so beautiful. And I was going in these states of deep ecstasy, just being there. And even near the monasteries, there was always uh, a kind of forest, yeah, and in the forest, just sitting there, and still in the ambience of the monastery, I just felt the most beautiful, ecstatic states, really. And I could see that even when I was doing that, everything was changing in me, and I was becoming, even my charisma was so, and the aura, obviously, it was so elevated and so full of beauty and light that I noticed the effect on others also immediately. But still, so still I got this very clear that it's not the path for now, for my life later on after 20. Otherwise, again, I was kind of feeling that that's what I have to do. And I know it was impregnations from a very recent past life.
Man, okay. So you had all these very connective experiences. Were noticing that a lot of other people, I'm guessing, were not having the degree that you were having?
Mhm.
Were you just like, okay, what's going on here? Or I'm just gonna keep moving forward because
Okay, so
I
the
like
degrees,
this.
initially, the degrees. So again, coming from a family of doctors and priests, I figured
Yes.
out what my parents wanted so they can let me in peace to do my own
Hmm.
work, inner work. So they wanted me to do something in life meaning on the material level, right?
Hmm.
So, and but they, in the same time, they were staying with me, okay, they didn't know kind of my language to get to me deep. But in
Okay.
the same time, they were saying, look, I mean, you have to do what is your call there. And since I think I was 5 or 6 when I was looking at the world, and I saw also a lot of injustice. I kind of could grasp where we are with the humanity very early age. And then I said, okay, now in this life, since I'm not a man, because I also had this perception of being a man as a priest in the past life,
Mm.
since I'm not a man and I cannot be a priest, then all I can do is to just be a doctor. And as I will be a doctor, I will be the same doing the spiritual healing. I had this thing very, very early age. So I said, okay, this is what I want to do. I'll just do medicine.
Neat.
Yeah, that was the first thing. And I knew that again, being a woman, I will not be able to do what I was doing as a man, as a priest. That was the very first thing.
Wow.
And yeah, and then I was very happy that as again, at 16, I knew these people who were already practicing various austerities and yoga, and they had a pure aspiration, which was really inspiring me. And then I learned more about all this gradually. And in the same time, since I was already in the medicine, in allopathy, in the study of medicine, but in the same time, I found a school of Ayurveda, which was very beautiful Ayurveda school. And then after medicines, I also acupuncture. So I was integrating all these other branches. It just felt that they are coming together, so it was no contradiction there at all. Now, I had my difficulties with my family, imagine. So it was that big part of me was crying for something else. So
Yeah.
it was not easy to be in this family, until again, very late in life, I had to go and heal the childhood also and work on forgiveness and so on. And also I was a difficult child, imagine. I was very difficult myself also, no problem, yeah. I know that. And yeah, so it was not easy,
Okay,
but in
so
the same time,
difficult because you didn't want to do the cut and dry path that they
yeah,
wanted
because
you
I,
to
I
do.
was lacking that connection that
Okay.
I was missing, and it was something very deep and more like a void inside of me, which was very much calling for something else. And for example, eating meat, so eating meat, my parents, being doctors, they were like, you have to eat meat. How will you take your proteins and so on? So I had to, they were forcing me to do that. So I had my episodes when I had to swallow some pieces, like one, or I convinced them that, okay, 1 day per week only. Okay, they accepted 1 day per week and they were watching me. And then after, when I was 18 and I did this exam in medicine, and I told them, look, if I will be between the first, will you let me in peace with your meat? So, and they said yes, because that's what they wanted. So I said, okay. And when I I studied the medicine, they said, they had to accept, they had to keep their word. So that's when I finally managed to not have to eat meat anymore, because I really just didn't feel that resonance with eating meat since I was very young, I
Oh,
just so that was one thing. Yeah, but then again, I was difficult, very difficult also about relationships, because they wanted for me as I entered medicines, their hopes were that I will be their follower in becoming a very successful doctor in allopathy, of course, and also
right.
get married and make kids and so on. And nothing of that happened, And later on, again, especially my father, he understood that I'm happy and that I'm using the knowledge of medicine, but in another way, which makes me happy, actually, So he understood this just before he left this world. So that gave me happiness that finally he understood it, but it took
Wow.
him so many 80 years.
80 years. Okay, so you never got married, didn't have children.
Actually, I got married once and
You
I
got married
divorced.
once.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, it cut out a little bit. What happened?
I divorced, so I got married again because my parents wanted.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah. But I mean, I was with this guy for 5 years. And then because the parents, they will have to get married. Okay, we got married. In the first day after the marriage, all kind of signs were there that are really in our path. So kind of the gesture of getting married from the first day showed to be not something that was helping our relation. On the contrary, so many things happened from the first day. And then in 3 years, we ended the relation, and we still are best friends, like brothers, because it was not that kind of relation. It was a very deep relation, and actually we started to know each other after the divorce, and then we could go
Oh,
into
wow.
levels of healing. It's just amazing, the relation with my ex-husband, and now he has his family and so on, and I have my life, but we are still very connected. He's still like if I need something, I'm calling him.
Oh my God, that's so great. So when you guys were married, was there just pressure, have kids, have kids, have kids?
No, it was pressure, get married.
Okay. That was the
Oh,
number one.
we didn't get to the get kids yet, and again, it never happened in this life. I never was pregnant, but again, I can see that I didn't need to have
Yep.
this kind of kids in this life, because I have so many other kids. Eventually, my parents
Yeah.
proved to be my kids. Everybody that I meet proves to be my kids, my students, my patients. So
Yes.
I'm very fulfilled with this role. I don't feel I lack it. I had enough kids in other lives, I'm sure. So I don't feel I like it at all.
Yeah, and I love that too. It's to me too, it isn't biological, it's connection, and family isn't biological. You can have so much family outside of birth, which is awesome as well. All right, girl, I love this. You were a rebel.
Yeah,
I like
totally.
having rebellious people. I think everybody who's on the show has some stint of rebellion, and especially being a female and just standing up for yourself. Because I know it within that too, it's very, there's still parts that are very traditional in our roles and what we're supposed to do. Tell me one more, and vegetarian and knowing that meat just didn't fit with you. Tell me one more rebellious thing about you.
Oh my God, but I'm made of that. So I think everything about me is like that.
Oh yeah, so give a couple more. I love it.
I'm totally not conformistic, you know. So only in the last years, I feel like doing this work, the quantum work, you know, and meeting Professor Goswami. So I got to be a little bit tamed, you know. I allow myself to be tamed because because yeah, because I have some examples finally of a person that is really constantly transforming, you know, and is not manipulating others. You know, I have to tell you, I never met until I met Professor Goswami, who I work with. I never met a person that
Oh,
has reached such a degree of integration, who is has overcome all this. The usually young, these people have a certain type of manipulation in them, you know. At some point, when power awakens, and especially spiritual power, when it awakens, my experience with others is that indeed I have received a lot of wonderful initiations where I'm very grateful for all. But in the same time, there was always something that had to do with some kind of manipulation there. And of course, again, even we women, you know, so without
oh
wanting,
yeah.
we can manipulate others, you know. And this is the test of power that I see, you know. So I'm praying to God that, again, if ever I get to a higher level and there's more power that will appear in my life, that I just don't practice this manipulation, which again, you see it everywhere and it's so masked in so many forms, you know. So the test of power, I think, is the most difficult test in life. So again, being in this work, which again is not easy, it's a work which I meet a lot of men. So the scientific world, you know, it's man's world,
Mhm.
and in the same time, I don't want to step on the feminine values, you know. But sometimes it's not easy to do that.
I know that Amit also talked about, like, for example, he had one close ally in his studies, and when he decided he was really going to go towards the quantum aspect, that person basically said, "See you later."
Yeah, of
So
course.
I'm assuming there are lots of people in your field that also are like, y'all are crazy. Y'all are, why are you going this direction? How have you dealt with that?
Well, there are so many others, you know, so you don't have to, you know. It's kind of yeah, like this path of compromise is not mine, I have to say. So again, working with Professor Goswami, he's kind of in the process of taming me. He's teaching me that some compromises are necessary, but it's not really working. So again, I am giving to the world that what I am. And sometimes I'm all, you know, shining and beautiful, but sometimes, you know, a woman, when you're
Yeah.
a strong woman, you know, you're also sometimes thunders and all, you know. So it's again, you know, when a woman is strong and it's awakened and she is, you know, devoted to transformation and to authenticity, and she is devoted to herself to transform in this life and understands the role that she has. Sometimes again, this kind of, it's a force that many times is scaring some people, you know. And this I met,
Yes.
and sometimes it gave me pain sometimes in the heart, because you can facilitate, or you can really allow all kind of wonderful aspects coming through you for the people. But in the same time, again, when you're perceived in this way as a threat for a certain position, maybe without wanting that, of course, you know, then those persons will close down, and you can see it, you know, if you're sensitive
Mhm.
energetically, and I am very much, too much, I think. You can feel very easily when a person is opening, it's expanding, and when a person is just closing up and is contracting and is just going again back in the ego mode, you know. So I learned that, you know, the path is difficult, I just have to deal with that. The only thing, so difficulty, one of the difficulties being so open and allowing myself to be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And again, of course, I'm not perfect at all. So I'm learning constantly from meeting everybody, and getting feedbacks. People don't get easily feedback also. But in the same time, again, in this world where I'm working right now, we meet all kinds of people, which most of them are wonderful, but also it's a lot of spiritual egos, which I can see around,
Oh,
and people
yeah.
have developed a lot of force, and then again, if they perceive you as a threat, or they, it is, again, it can create, again, even disease. And I had one incident like that.
Okay, what
when
happened?
when it was a lot of, it was in Mexico, actually. I
Okay.
don't know names, but it was a powerful group. Actually, it was a Sufi group, and they invited Amit and me, but actually invited more Amit. And I was like, immediately I felt I have to better just stay. Okay, no problem. If you don't want me, I don't have to do anything. No problem at all. I have other things to do. Just I had to be there, and after that, after leaving that place, I really got sick, So we were flying back to USA, and it was, I think I had to do this energetic cleansing and be attentive for my life for the next more than 6 months, So
Oh.
it was, I mean, it was like an energetic attack, which I had other times as well, but this one was really, really strong, So if it caught me off guard a little bit, so when we are not rested enough, after a lot of travels, that's another challenge, learning to, to put yourself together with various changes in every way, because that's another thing about me, that I have traveled a lot. That's clear, really a lot. In the physical world, but also I had my other experiences, but also in the physical level, I really traveled a lot. And now, as I go towards 50s, fast, I approach 50s, it's not the same easy to put myself together as it was in my 30s, let's say, And if we have to do this work and we are tired, then all kind of energetic attacks can happen as well, So especially if you're very sensitive, then we have to be attentive. That's one thing. And again, so after this travel, I felt like I was almost dying, I mean, I had all my angels with me there supporting life, because it felt as if life was leaving the body, So it felt such a tiredness. I was hardly breathing for a while. And then even I developed on the skin something which is specific to energetic attack. It looked as if it was a monkeypox, which it was not. It didn't have other characteristics, but it was looking like that for a week. And it was, I cannot tell you how painful and all it was. And then I was practicing all the time, because whenever something like that happens, I have to practice all that, or just surrender to God and evoke higher healings. And after that, even other things happened, a car accident happened.
Oh my
And
gracious. Okay,
was
what happened in that?
fun.
Hey, and let me stop for a second. I really appreciate your vulnerability here. And I really connect with the devotion to transformation, which I am that too. And it is true when you are that and you really work on being authentic and being open and being like, to me, it's a daily experience. People can look at you and be like, what? And they feel that strength within you. So it is key to maintain that humbleness. So I am right there with you. And I oh my gosh, I so enjoy you're such a gift to me today, talking about also the feminine aspect of that too. Okay, let's proceed. I had to interject that for
Oh,
just
that's
a
very
second.
good. I love it. Oh, it feels
Oh,
so good. It feels
awesome.
like, it feels that especially when women meet, and it's a heart-to-heart connection, this can be so powerful. And I think this is the thing that will heal the world. But what we see
Mm,
nowadays, it's even that, even among women, there's so much competition, and
yes.
so that's one of these errors of humanity. But it's a mirror where we are right now.
Yeah.
until this changes, I don't know how humanity will evolve, because we are at a level which is still very infantile. We are gifted with so many things, all the potential that we have.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's kind of, we still don't know what to do with that. And we are moving. So I think many people are awakening, but
Mm-hmm.
still I see that people are still staying in a separate mode and in the competition mode, if not manipulation mode. Everybody
Yes.
has an agenda there, And again, it is, quantum science is, made me understand a lot of these aspects. Initially, again, after studying medicine, I also did various sadhanas with various spiritual teachers. And yeah, so I just, I don't know. So somehow in this life, I managed to do a lot of things, and I'm very grateful for all these
I
things.
know you have are so well rounded with
No,
so many experiences. It's
but I'm
awesome.
happy. I'm happy for the experiences because now I can understand different when a person is suffering, for example.
Yeah.
I know how that is. I had my 10 years of dark night of the soul. So I had experiences of heaven and hell daily for some years. So this was another thing, this was the turning point in my life when I was around 34, I think. So I know how it is. And also I know how this can damage your health. I know the mechanisms. And then again, even in homeopathy, you learn what is with this kind of typology, or in the study of Enneagram and other studies about femininity, you understand why, and how women, we have to be attentive of this path from the victim state, victim state, or even the savior kind of role, which
Yep.
is again a healthy role in that way, to the healthy feminine. There's a lot, the path of the woman. So I'm grateful for the experiences. I'm also grateful that I'm alive, because I again, as I told you, I'm non-conformist and I'm very intensive in everything. And I'm
Yes.
throwing myself completely in some things. And, a few times in my life, I was not sure what will happen now. So will I be alive after this or not,
Okay, so
So
let's go back. What happened in the car accident?
what happened first before the car accident. So after the monkeypox-like situation, another thing happened. So again, still under the influence of that energetic attack,
Mm-hmm.
we were in a house, and in the night, again, feeling so weak, I kind of felt as I was going through the hallway, where I was staying, I felt as if something was pushing me and I fall, and I broke a rib. That was the first thing. Yeah.
Okay.
And I had to travel with a lot of bags from USA to India. Imagine some carrying has to be done with the broken ribs. Okay. And then I had to travel to Romania as my mother, she was not in a good health in that moment. So so it was again travel, tiredness on this situation, with the broken rib or a broken wing, however you call it. But still I was moving on. So I pushed myself a lot in this life, I have to say. And then again, I had to arrange some medical things for her. And I was driving. And then again, it was a lot of synchronicities in that event, but I had a car accident and nothing major happened.
Okay.
Just it was a lot of science and numerology and all. And in that moment, I said, okay, no, I have to stop all this. I cannot push myself anymore. I cannot do more than it's possible. And I realized that sometimes we may want to force some things or force even some healing aspects for the others, but sometimes it's not the case, So it's a
Yes.
very tricky how to do this so that you don't do it from the ego, but try
Mm-hmm.
to again see what is necessary to be done. So this is another aspect, which I had to learn in my life, and I'm still very attentive to that, because many times again, when you know so many things and when you can so many things, holding yourself back from doing those things, that's another very interesting aspect, and that's a paranormal power, I think. It's like, imagine Jesus on the cross. He
Yeah.
would have been able to save himself, no, but he didn't. So that kind of, I think it's another more subtle aspect of the spiritual power, which I'm learning. I
Okay.
started to learn from accident
I
on.
I will also applaud this because for those of us who are doing this transformational work, I've had some major stuff. And you kind of, in a way, kind of have to. So cancer, well, was diagnosed with lung cancer when I was 47, had a near-death experience. It wasn't lung cancer. Yet this whole this 2-year healing process was similar for me to really get out of the ego. And the same thing, I pushed healing. And at that point, I had a meditation mindfulness studio with people who were working for me. And essentially through this, it was like, you got to let that go. You got to, because that was so ego for me. Oh, I've got this studio. And part of it was I was spending so much time on marketing and advertising. So it was like, you got to get back to basics, let all that go. That does not define you. And there have been many other experiences that were like that. Yet it's so interesting to hear you talk about it today, because for me in the past year or two, things have, and I'll say it this way, even though have finally started happening for me because I don't care anymore. Like it's not a put. Yes. Okay. So it's not a push or I have to do these things. Suddenly this opportunity comes up and I'm like, okay, I can take it or leave it. But I'm also grateful for it. But it's really just this stepping back of, you don't have to be this. You don't have to do this. You are this. So let it go. And I think that's so much about femininity as well, that the woman is so integral in this part, and love and just being. Oh God, I can't. There's so many questions I want to ask you too. And I do want to go into quantum yoga. Can you talk more about that? What that entails?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But just
tell me.
what you're saying there, so
Yes,
still, I think what you're saying, it's about building character also, you know. I think
yes.
a very good character, which makes us more and more authentic, you know, because I think that's the way to learn to be here, you know. So no matter what, but for that, yeah, it requires a certain development and detachment and all, you know.
Yeah, and also
So
being able to relate to people, because I have people who come in and have hard stories and they can't, like at times, I can't live. And I'm like, hey, let me tell you about my story and let me tell you how I've been through something similar to you. So that really made it nice that I could relate to them really one
yeah,
on one versus sitting here on this mountain going, I'm so great and everything's perfect and my life has been so good. And let me tell you what happened to me. And I made it through. So can you. Stop your
yeah, no.
whining. Okay, proceed, please.
So, about yoga, and it's one of the things that really, really helped me a lot, you know.
Yeah.
So in the but usually in the West, you know, we take this meaning of yoga more like a stretching only,
Mm,
you know. So that's by far what yoga can mean and do, you know. So we take yoga in the aspect of integration, kind of. So this overall experiential goal of what we call quantum yoga is that ability to live and to act from expanded and inclusive states of consciousness, you know. So it's not, again, it's not just about certain practices that we use from various other traditions, yes. Yeah, again, so one of the wonderful things in my life is that, yes, I met a wonderful yoga school when I was, again, 16, 17. And then I learned from other masters also in India, in the Shivananda yoga school, and in other places as well. But I still think I learned more from my own experiences, you know, and from putting
yes.
together even these medical aspects and my personal health situation, and especially sufferance, I have to say. So I learned a lot from sufferance. You know, this sufferance is the biggest master, I think, because we don't learn so much from the positive things that we are given. You know, we take them for granted. That's something about this human nature. So it has to be something to shake our grounds so
Yes.
that we move from that inertia. You know, so I know how much a human can be inert and how much we can be stuck. Again, through my own experience, and also I noticed, you know, so I somehow in life I am grateful also to this master, which is called the sufferance, because through that I had to keep moving, you know, and I had to
Yes.
keep integrating. And I mean, eventually, for example, when we succeed in working with forgiveness, and especially self-forgiveness, and especially as a woman, when this happens, and it can take many years, it took many years in my case. Of course, healing will happen, but healing not just of a disease, healing of so much other contractions, which are very, very deep, So again, forgiveness also. So this is one of my favorite practices, the practice of forgiveness, which is again one of the practices that I'm using in quantum yoga, and also in healing practices. For example, I had a woman last year. She was actually my dentist, yeah. So she knew about me from somebody, and as I went to the dentist to do my own, take care of my my teeth, she asked me, she said if I have any suggestion for her, because she just couldn't conceive, she couldn't get pregnant, and everything was fine anatomically, and her and her
Okay.
husband, everything was fine, and I could see in something there, and I got to talk to her, and indeed she had to forgive something related to her family. It was a big shame there related to her parents, and we did 2 times a certain practice of forgiveness, and again, so in 1 month she remained pregnant. So it was the
Heck
biggest,
yeah.
oh my God. So she just managed to break through a block, it was an energetic block there, of course, in her mind. So this was one thing. And of course, people with cancer, many times this is the block that has to be worked through. And even other things, if hyperactive people, all kind of dependencies and traumas, if we don't work with forgiveness and we don't understand what is that, Okay, so what we do in quantum yoga, we discuss. We have to understand about the human condition, and again, many times we have to start in the child period, so in the child development time, how the brain develops. Yeah, this is something. And nowadays, you see what's happening nowadays with the kids. People are destroying some tablets or phones and destroying their brains. So knowing or not knowing. So it can be so many things, like, for example, hyperactivity or lack of concentration. And then again, for this, there are certain practices of concentration meditation, yeah, first of all. Or there is a lot of intellectualism that you see nowadays, which produces, again, contracted consciousness. And then again, we learn at least awareness meditation, those who want to, yeah. And then we refer to the 5 bodies, yeah, to the nutrition of the 5 bodies of consciousness, not just the physical body, not just the energetical body. So when we say quantum yoga, it's a very wide arena. So as I said, I learned and I studied and I practiced. Oh, I have to tell you, so even when I was, so I heard about this meditations and fasting when I was 16, and I started to do it. And when I was 19, I started to practice yoga. And to give you an example, so when we know how to practice and paying attention to the circuit of energy, and you are aware about the chakras, not, you understand about them. And because this kind of like we are sitting on a mine of diamonds, not knowing what we have, And for me, for example, so there's a practice, and I was 19, I was having long periods, so it was a lot of bleeding, so many days and pain and all. After 3 months of one simple practice, 3 months but I was just loving it. And I was maintaining my attention in the heart and to this process of sublimation of the energy upwards. There's a cobra pose, it's called, in the Hatha
Yes.
Yoga tradition. I was practicing this, I think 30 minutes in the morning. At 5 o'clock, I was waking up. And then, so that afterwards I prepare for school and all. And in the evening, the same. After 3 months, my period sublimated to just 3 days. And it stayed like that,
Wow.
There are so many things, again, which, again, even just by practicing Hatha Yoga, which is done correctly, even immediately you can get these kind of results. But again, when you go deeper, and of course we have to learn about meditation, because we have to learn how to tame all this brain and the monkey mind. And if there's anybody suffering from depression or anxiety, they have to learn about meditation a little bit, even just learning to be attentive to the breath, or learning to relax the abdomen. So again, this the reality of the chakras, it's already proven. So especially for women, the abdominal area, there's so much contraction there. We don't have enough self-respect. We don't have,
That was a
the self.
lot for me. That
Ah,
really had to
me
be worked
too.
on initially.
Yeah, but it's kind of like we don't realize as women, how much we just hold on, and then
Mhm.
if you're contracted there, then a lot of, you have fibromas, cysts, so many other problems, because the energy just cannot circulate. We should be like an open system, and when we become aware of what's happening in our bodies, then yeah, we are becoming also more selective with everything initially, but
Yes.
eventually you are not, it's you're just there, kind of surrendered and attentive, and see what's happening, with
Can
the
I
proper intent.
want to ask you and get your opinion on this? I I believe that menstruation, a lot of the pain around it also comes from the collective consciousness of so many years of women are unclean, women this. What do you feel about that?
Yeah, of course. So the Christian tradition, what is saying that everything is holy, just not the sexual energy, right?
Mm,
Stay away
yeah.
from that. Stay away from the woman, because especially when she's menstruating, because she's dangerous. Yes, of course, the woman, especially a strong woman, so she will always test the man, if he's strong enough, is he there to ground, so that she's getting the support that is natural to receive from a man. So the man, again, they have certain qualities, and the woman is kind of testing that man. And if she's not getting what she wants, she can become fully chaotic, of course. So they were right in a way, because, not understanding the sexual energy, even nowadays, there's so much frustration, so much shame in the collective unconscious. And you see nowadays, you can put immediately anybody down saying something about this person on the sexual aspect, right? So this is the easiest way to put somebody down, right? And that's why, yeah, you don't know, people are not talking. There is no sexual education nowadays. And the woman, again, she shouldn't be, it's especially in some countries, people don't talk a lot at all about these aspects. And then, for example, in India, in India, they were uh, maybe the sweetest people of the world, so peaceful. And I feel like they
Mm,
were naturally expanded. So nowadays you hear about rapes in group, like young people, like 12, 13 years people, kids. They just rape a girl in a bus, and these kind of things were repeatedly happening. Why? Because it's so much repressed in the collective unconscious, this sexuality. Yeah, it's a taboo. So when something is taboo, it can be, you know, something which can indeed hurt you, but in that way. Now also there are the opposite countries where everybody's having sex with everybody, and they think, oh, wow, what a freedom is that, But when that happens and there's no love, we are closing our hearts, and then we cannot love anymore, right? So that's another aspect. But again, women, so when we have to understand the menstruation and also what's happening in menopause. That's another aspect, oh my God, the menopause can change everything, So a woman, if we didn't take care of us, especially on the energetic levels, and then at menopause, it can be very difficult, in the premenopause phase, perimenopause phase, you can be a completely different person, you're just, so we need to understand ourselves. It's a whole universe in everybody,
so
but I think it's
interesting.
much more complex in a woman, So I'm very happy in this life I'm a woman to experience so many things as a woman. But yeah, nobody said it's gonna be easy. It is wonderful, yes, but easy.
No. Let me add on to that for menopause. Because I know there are so many, you can be depressed and mind fog. Like I get hot flashes. That's pretty much it. And also because I feel I know myself. So it's not like, oh, I have to go through this to really see who I am. No, not really. And I am changing, but that's okay. our time is coming to an end. I can't believe it.
Oh,
Oh, that's so nice. I would love, as we go into the Just Be practice, and we didn't talk about this before I saw you, and we haven't chatted in a while. I would love for you to do something on forgiveness, unless you had another idea of doing something. Does that sound cool with you?
yeah, some for the heart,
All right,
definitely. You know,
let's go. Are you ready?
it is so good with you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. This was such a good discussion. I think we need to have another show at some point because I think there's a lot more to go into because we really didn't go into, neuroplasticity and the brain and all of that. But I really enjoyed this being incredibly personal with
Yeah,
you.
me too. Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. Usually I don't talk about me, so thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Just be
Great. So we'll do,
practice.
how much time I have?
I would say, how do you feel about 10 minutes?
As you say. So I can
Okay.
do minutes or 10 hours. Let's take a deep breath and simply keep the feet on the ground. Maintain the back straight and simply maintain the attention on the breath. Maintaining the attention on the breath will help us center in the present moment and also connect with our bodies. So simply breathe in and out. Relax the physical body from down upwards. Especially relax the belly area. Try to engage the abdomen in your breath. Relax the shoulders, the chest, the neck, the chin. Simply pay attention to the breath. Relaxed, aware, and enjoy being here and now. You can also associate the process of breathing in and out with the process of integration in the macrocosmic harmony. When we inhale, we can intend to be in resonance with the primordial purity of the universe, as if you're breathing this purity of the universe into your being. And when you exhale, you can simply emanate from all your being without expectations, all that you have developed, the most wonderful qualities that you have: love, compassion. So breathe in and out in this way. It's as if you're creating a personal mandala. It can be a dynamic practice. It can help us also create a sacred space in our being. Gradually also becoming aware that we live in a world where these mandalas are interacting with each other. And as we do that and continue being more and more interiorized, and at the same time expanded, we can rub our palms and let's simply place them on our chest. Continue to breathe in and out in the same way. In the same time, perceive the vital energy through your palms towards your chest. Relax the shoulders, relax the chest. Maintain now the attention upon the breath, but simultaneously also in the middle of your chest. Aiming to go deeply, to connect with yourself in the deeper way into what is called the spiritual heart. that sacred chamber that exists in the depths of your heart, of your being. And from that place, let's also evoke the presence of our guardian angel behind us. Guardian angel in the Christian tradition and also in other traditions, you can think of it as an embodiment of everything that is good. This archetype of goodness, if you don't have another representation of this guardian angel. As we breathe in and out, attentive and relaxed in our hearts, we evoke the presence of our guardian angel behind us. Try to perceive from your heart the connection with your guardian angel's heart and that state of unconditional love, peace that is embracing you, making you feel safe here and now. And you can visualize this white bright light of love emanating from your guardian angel's heart towards your heart, helping you relax even more. Relax the heart area, the chest area as you breathe in and out. As we do that, let's scan all the chest area, the heart area, and allow to surface if there are any resentments, any contractions in there, in our hearts, anything that we suppressed or repressed in our hearts. As we continue breathing in and out, connected from our heart with the heart of our guardian angel, continue to visualize this white bright light emanating from our angel's heart towards ours and purifying our hearts, helping this process of healing of our being, starting with healing of our hearts. And with force and determination and purity, let's set up the intent towards greater levels of healing and integration of our life, of our lessons. So let's set up from all our hearts the intent towards healing for ourselves. Then we expand this intent. Let's manifest the same intent towards higher levels of healing for the greater good. So let's manifest this intent of healing for the people around us that we know of them, also for the people that we don't like so much or that we are in conflict with, eventually for the entire humanity, even visualizing how a world of healthy people would interact and live expanded in an inclusive state of consciousness, transformed. Continuing to be relaxed and interiorized. If you feel that there is a certain person that you need to forgive, anybody that has hurted you, then simply allow yourself to intend to forgive that person completely and to learn the respective lessons of growth from there, knowing that it's good for yourself and for everybody to enter this process, which is an active process, knowing that you want to live free and healthy and happy, not in chains or in sufferance. And if that's the case, also set up the intent for yourself to completely forgive yourself for all the accusations that you are bringing to yourself, for all the things that you're not following through, for all the times when you are hurting yourself because others did it initially, maybe. So with love, with acceptance, with compassion, set up this intent of completely forgiving yourself. Another point of forgiveness is to set up the intent to even forgive God or the movement of consciousness for all these ego projections that create this image of a God that is punishing you or that you feel unlucky. Understand that it's the projections of the ego here and set up the intent to completely forgive also this kind of image that you have created about God or evolution. Continue to breathe in and out in the presence of our guardian angel, centered in our hearts, feeling our hearts. Feeling how this white bright light is penetrating all these super sensitive areas in our hearts, all the wounds, and facilitates the healing process of our hearts. And now we surrender all this process of healing to God or to the movement of consciousness, knowing that it will happen in the most appropriate way and time. We continue to inhale, exhale, attentive, accumulating more and more this white bright light in our hearts and the entire being, like a halo that is elevating our vibration. Puts us in a state where we may be sensitive to inspirations and deeper understanding of eventually the causes for our sufferances, for the state of loneliness, for any of the problems that we face, any of the contractions. But right now, we just manifest a state of love and gratitude towards our guardian angel, towards ourselves, towards the fact that we have this physical body, which is a gift for the gift of life. And we take a deeper breath and come back slowly.
Mm. That was yum. Thank you so much for that. I always give little comments when we finish with the practice. It was interesting yesterday. I got four little heart tings, like purposeful, spiritual, just to see how I was going to react and handle those things. So this really helped me today to lighten myself into those. There are pieces of those that I need to let go, and there are pieces that I need to discuss a little bit. So that really helped give me clarity in that. So thank you. And I think I want to go ahead and put out there, I would love to have, because I typically don't have reoccurring guests like P and Cullen next week. They're my only reoccurring guests. But I think in a couple months, I'd love to have you back on the show to really discuss femininity and the power of woman. Would you be cool with that? Because I think that would really be good for our audience. And man, thank you so much for sharing your heart today and your power, and helping to show women that it's okay to be intelligent. It's okay to do everything that you do, to be a voice, to be
responsible. We are responsible for really, but also responsible for our own happiness and health. That's what we have to remember. Women will get this. Because women, not feminism, but we'll talk about this in the meeting.
Yeah, because that's a form of division as well. Oh, and I have to comment, when my hands were on my heart, my one hand went to my abdomen, because of what we talked about today. So me working on deepening my connection to being here. So that was poignant as well. All right, thank you so much, and everybody, yay! And I guess that's it. All right, hang with me for a second. Bye, y'all. Y'all, find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, True Social, as well as Rumble, BitChute, YouTube, plus a plethora of other audio directories like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So like, subscribe, do it all. See ya.